What is up, everybody? It's 414 Anime here for Anime Uproar, and welcome back to another Bleach video on the channel. One of the most exciting aspects of the show is the wide range of powerful characters with unique abilities that we get to see in action. From captains of the Soul Society to the Espada to the Stern Ritter, the show is full of formidable opponents for Ichigo and his friends to face. So, who are the strongest characters in Bleach? Well, that's what we're going to explore today. We'll be looking at characters like Sosuke Aizen, who possesses incredible intelligence and a mastery of both swordsmanship and Kido. Kenpachi Zaraki, the captain of the 11th Division, who is renowned for his raw strength and fighting skills, and of course, many more. We'll also be examining the abilities and weaknesses of these characters and how they stack up against one another. Whether you're a long-time fan of Bleach or new to the series, you will not want to miss this video. So let's get into it. Now, if you do enjoy these Bleach videos on the channel and you'd like to see more, you know what to do. Smash that like button as it really helps us out with that YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. We're trying to reach 2 million subscribers here on the channel, and we'd love for you to be a part of that journey with us. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Anime Uproar. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. First up is Retsu Unohana, a former captain of the 4th Division. She was the best healer in the entire Soul Society and one of the oldest and most seasoned Gotai 13 captains. For those of you who don't know about Unohana, this placement will come as a surprise because she was mostly used or only ever depicted as a healer in the series. Just to be clear, there are definite spoilers below. Now, we didn't really get to witness how powerful and terrifying Unohana was until the 1000-year Blood War arc. Kenpachi Zaraki, captain of the 11th Division, was to learn Zanjutsu from her. The two fought to the death in an effort to impart this strength-building knowledge into Kenpachi. In this battle, we learn a few things. In the past, Unohana was the most evil criminal in the entire Soul Society. When assembling the Gotai 13, Yamamoto actually went out of his way to find her, and she ended up becoming the first Kenpachi and captain of the 11th Division. Now, while on a mission, she saw a boy who attacked her at first sight. The two then engaged in combat. That boy was none other than a young Kenpachi Zaraki. Kenpachi acknowledged that during their battle, he experienced fear for the first time. He wanted more since their first fight, since he enjoyed the sensation of being in this fight with her. For Kenpachi to say this, it would be clear just how formidable of an opponent Unohana is. We got to experience this new side of Unohana and the incredible power she possessed in the fight between the two in the 1000-year Blood War arc, which was simply fantastic. Now, her Bankai was one of her great mysteries. She was unfortunately killed before we could really see what it was capable of, so sadly not much is known about it. We only know a few things, like the fact that when her Bankai is discharged, the blade of her Zanpakuto transforms into a thick dark red liquid that flows all around her. We think it's blood, but there is no proof of that. Her Bankai's liquid resembles a very potent acid with enough strength to melt an opponent to the bone. Aside from that, I believe there was still a lot more to her than we ever saw, but based on what we did learn about her, Unohana is obviously very well deserving of her place on the list. And before we move on, I have to say that Bleach is certainly not sure of its list of best girls. As a bit of a waifu connoisseur myself, I am saddened and shocked that the girls in this show aren't up there with the most powerful in Bleach, as Unohana is the only girl on this list. Next up is the former president of the Shinigami Research Institute and the former captain of the 12th Division, Kisuke Urahara, and he is one impressive dude. Perhaps the smartest character in the entire series, Urahara is an expert tactician and strategist who is also a talented inventor who has created some of the most extraordinary and potent weapons, the most lethal of which is of course the Hogyoku. He is not just intelligent, he is also a specialist in both unarmed and armed combat, as well as having vast knowledge of Kido use. An achievement that tells 1,000 words about this man's utter brilliance is the fact that his mastery of Kido has not only enabled him to perform high-level Kido, but also to invent some high-level Kido too. Currently, Urahara is considered one of the strongest captains or characters overall in the entire series thanks to his Zanpakuto, especially his Bankai. His Bankai conjures a crimson-clad giant lady who grants Kisuke the power to tear apart and re-stitch anything he so chooses, including the terrain he's fighting on, his muscle strength, or even his own injuries, as we saw in his battle with Askin. No one is invincible, of course, yet because of the might of his Bankai, Urahara comes quite near that. As a result, it should go without saying that Urahara is not only one of the series' most significant characters, but also one of its strongest, earning him a spot on the list of the series' most strongest characters. Let's get our Quincy on, as Uryu Ashida is next up. At the beginning of Bleach, Uryu Ashida isn't all that powerful. In terms of power scaling, he is actually far behind that of series protagonist Ichigo Kurosaki. The character arc of Uryu in Bleach has numerous twists and turns, including a period where he entirely lost all of his skills. Although he was significantly underpowered and unappreciated at times during the series, by the end of the series he had developed into much more than just one of Ichigo's sidekicks. The Quincy King Yhwach intentionally chose Uryu to succeed him when he finally made his return after centuries. The identity of Uryu, a half-blood Quincy who survived Yhwach's attempt on his life as an infant, was a very shocking revelation. This was done so that the Quincy King could regain his powers. Uryu was the only half-blood Quincy who was unaffected, making him a very special case even amongst full-blood Quincies. After receiving the anesthesis from Yhwach, Uryu had a significant increase in Retsu, making him significantly more a formidable opponent. With the aid of his ability anesthesis, Uryu is able to choose any two targets and fully undo anything that has happened between them. For instance, if Uryu had suffered severe injuries while engaging an enemy, he could select both himself and the enemy as targets and undo what had just occurred. This would heal him while dishing out the damage he received to the enemy. This ability certainly gives Uryu more than enough to earn an entry on this list. The captain of the 11th Division and the absolute brutal force Kenpachi Zaraki comes next. Where should we begin with Kenpachi? Well, he's a true warrior and a master of combat. When I say master of combat, I truly mean master, since he thrives on battle. His only motivation is to fight and get stronger, thus having a lot of experience is one of the byproducts of that way of life. The other captains frequently keep him at a distance, which I feel makes him look like more of an outsider amongst the Godhood 13. And although the other captains are extremely powerful, they have selected words like supernatural and unmeasurable to characterize Zaraki's strength. When he was younger and engaged in combat with Unohana before becoming a division commander, she admitted that despite being the last one standing, she felt that he was stronger and more qualified to become Kenpachi. Kenpachi has always had a latent ability, but he never bothered to make an effort to use it because he was afraid that if he did, his battles would end far too quickly. So in order to engage in his passion of combat for as long as possible, his eye patch seals his overflowing and tremendous spiritual strength, but he has removed it during a few fights, and man, was it truly a sight to behold when he did so. Almost impossible to stop the man when the eye patch is removed. Now, he will turn into a berserker demon when he activates his Bankai. Insane strength here, but at the expense of his own sense of reason. His Bankai also fits this similar sealed motive of the eye patch. Kenpachi occupies a rank on our list of strongest Bleach characters because he is so tremendously strong that only a select few opponents can match him at his peak. Now, we have also done a full video explaining just how strong Kenpachi is. Definitely give that video a watch after this one to get a more in-depth look at this absolute powerhouse. Next up is Captain Shunsui Kyoraku of the 1st Division, who is also the current commander of the Godhood 13. Shunsui is what you might refer to as the total package. Yes, all the characters on this list share characteristics, such as being experts with a weapon in common, but Shunsui is superior than almost everyone else in aspects and should not be underestimated. Due to his overwhelming strength, it's almost hard to beat him in battle. Now, both his Zanpakuto's appearance and personality set it apart from other Zanpakuto of the Soul Reapers. His Zanpakuto's personality only manifests during combat and will only permit Shunsui to use all of his strength only when it is in the mood for it. This is a great example of his strength if you needed one. Shunsui used only his Shikai to defeat the top-ranked Espada Stark. This is both a demonstration of Shunsui's skills and a nod to the deadly powers of his Bankai, which Shunsui himself avoids using unless absolutely necessary. An aura surrounds Shunsui when he unleashes his Bankai. This aura alters how a person perceives their surroundings, making everyone caught in its range feel despair and sadness. Shunsui does not want to gamble with innocent or ally forces who may be trapped within its boundaries, since his Bankai produces mental despair and the repercussions of death to everyone and everything within its range. We can be certain that Shunsui Kyoraku is one of the greatest Shinigami in existence because of his Bankai and how powerful he is otherwise. Yhwach's shoot starfall was the most menacing of the exceptionally strong foes that the 1000-year Blood War arc presented. Lille Barro, the first of Yhwach's shifted minions, is very proud of himself and his enormous arsenal. Lille Barro has demonstrated that Quincy's have just as much potential as Soul Reapers in Bleach. Lille is an egotistical man who considers himself to be the closest thing to God. Being the first Quincy to ever receive Shrift from Yhwach in Bleach, Lille Barro assumed command of the Shoot Starfall, which was of course Yhwach's own elite guard. Using his rifle and his power, the X-axis, he will undoubtedly hit and obliterate his target thanks to his amazing precision. He is the most well-known rifleman in the series, never missing his mark, and no amount of defensive strategy can really stop his attacks. This is because Lille can pierce through everything because nothing is strong enough to resist or block his power. He is given arcane skills like teleportation, intangibility, and hyper regeneration by his Vol standing, also known as Giliel. He is the only Stern Ritter who can perform a secondary Vol standing. This is similar to Ulquiorra and his Segunda Etapa. Lille produces enough power so that he is able to blast bursts of energy that can completely annihilate entire cities in the blink of an eye. From everything you've just heard, there's no question that this guy has to be on this list of Bleach's strongest characters. Next up, we have another Stern Ritter, and that is none other than Thor himself, Gerard Valkyrie. One of the most formidable combatants in Yhwach's Quincy army, as well as one of the most powerful characters overall in Bleach, is without a doubt here, Gerard Valkyrie. Gerard Valkyrie is not only one of Yhwach's shoot starfall, but also the heart of the Soul King. Gerard's physical strength is his most incredible feat. Due to his physical power, he also has incredible resilience to fatal attacks. Gerard is a ruthless individual who takes great pride in his abilities. When numerous captains and lieutenants approached him, Gerard ordered them to come at him right away because they wouldn't be able to defeat him in a one-on-one fight. He possesses a natural ability known as the Miracle, which enables him to prevail in the face of impossible challenges. His skill grows stronger the more challenging the circumstances appear to be. He can transform any physical harm dealt to him into increases in size and might. So, if any opponent is fortunate enough to strike him, they'll probably wish that they hadn't. And if that wasn't enough, he has the ability to grow wings and take to the air as well. Gerard can give shape to his own and other people's thoughts, feelings, and desires using the Miracle's power. Another one of the Miracle's amazing skills is that it can help him change the odds in his favor by probability manipulation. Gerard Valkyrie is an absolute beast, and without a doubt worthy of a space in this list. Next up, we have Jugram. Jugram is the leader of the Stern Ritter, also known as the Stern Ritter Grandmaster. Jugram is Yhwach's most loyal subordinate, making him the ideal choice to serve as the latter's advisor. Jugram is also second in command, which says a lot about how powerful a Quincy he is. In reference to Jugram's power of giving and sharing, Yhwach refers to him as his other half. Now, Jugram's power, the balance, is unquestionably a powerful shrift that absorbs and transfers bad luck. In other words, he is able to hand his opponents their own bad luck. Jugram can take the bad things that happen in his area of influence and then distribute them to people who have themselves been fortunate. The balance is very similar to Uryu's power that we mentioned earlier in the video. In a similar way to Uryu's abilities, if Jugram were to sustain bad damage, he can then transfer that harm to his intended target, who is benefiting from good fortune. By combining their good fortune with their bad fortune, this act restores the scale's proper balance. Now, the Sacrifice Shield or Friend Shield is Jugram's spirit weapon. Jugram can make this shield, which is both incredibly strong and solid, materialize on his left arm by using Reishi. Instead of functioning as a typical shield, which you would expect to prevent incoming attacks from his opponents, Jugram's shield actually absorbs his bad luck, including the injuries that were stated above. Jugram is also the only other Quincy after Yhwach that has the ability to transfer his own power to another Quincy. He is also unlike the other Quincy as he can't naturally absorb reishi from his environment, but instead he is able to provide reishi to others around him. Jugram also possesses Yhwach's the Almighty power. Jugram can employ the might of the Almighty at night when Yhwach goes to sleep, but only at that time. Jugram can predict the future thanks to this power, but unlike Yhwach, he is unable to change it. Super interesting character this one, and definitely one that you don't want to come up against in a fight. Genryusai Yamamoto, the captain of the 1st Division and former commander of the Gotai 13, is up next. Yamamoto is a guy who you just have no chance of defeating because of his next level power. As a matter of fact, he commanded the Gotai 13 for more than 1,000 years because no other Shinigami could match his strength. During his fight with Shunsui Kyoraku and Jushiro Ukitake, Shunsui's lieutenant Nanao was rendered unconscious by just his Ryatsu. It is very clear that even his spiritual pressure is potent enough to unnerve and immobilize most people. He even used the oldest Zanpakuto, Ryujin-Shaka, which was so strong that it was more powerful than all the other Zanpakuto in the Soul Society put together. A single slash of Ryujin-Shaka can turn anyone or anything into ashes. Now, despite his advanced age, he was a master of everything. His Shikai and Bankai have crazy power. They either burn or cut everything in half, or the flames they emit either burn or cut everything completely out of existence. It's insane. If the flames they generate don't sound extremely overpowered to you, I'm not sure what else would. His Bankai also has several nasty features, one of which lets him call the dead to his side. He not only has the ability to summon people he has defeated, but he also has the choice of who it is that he summons. As a result, this powerful character is able to defeat anyone he chooses before calling them to battle beside him. Needless to say, Hubman Yama is a guy you do not mess with. You run away, if you can. Moving on to the captain of the 0 Division, Ichibe. Ichibe was introduced in the later episodes of Bleach, but became more popular than most characters in the series. Ichibe is an incredibly strong Shinigami and is the leader of the 0 Division, or the Royal Guard, who are tasked with protecting the Soul King and the royal family. Ichibe becomes happier when he resolves to kill someone, but he spares the lives of his opponents in a condescending manner. Interestingly as well, many terminology in the Soul Society, including Bankai, Zanpakuto, and Shikai, were created by Ichibe. He was the first Shinigami whose Zanpakuto underwent a transformation, and he also learned the names of every Zanpakuto. His Shikai's unique skill is the ability to swing his blade, which then releases an ink that causes whatever it covers to lose its name, and along with it, its powers. The blade of his Zanpakuto assumes the shape of a white brush when his Bankai is activated. Ichibe can write kanji on a target's body to change or add to their name before being struck by the ink of his Zanpakuto. He can alter that person's power by doing this. In other words, whatever he chooses to write on a person, they become powerful as that thing. He scribbled black ant on Yhwach, and he got as weak as that of a black ant. All his former strength, power, and skills had been diminished to the level of a little insect for a very short period of time. Ichibe's powers are just incredible when you think about them, and that is why he ranks so high on this list. Ichigo Kurosaki, the protagonist of the series, he advances from being one of the weakest Soul Reapers to outclassing most of them. Ichigo is beyond a doubt one of the most powerful characters in the series now that he has control thanks to his mastery of the sword, hollow forms, Quincy bloodline, and a variety of other skills and powers that he's picked up along the way. Ichigo, like we heard there, possesses a very complex concoction of abilities, including the iconic Hollow Mask, Setos, Fullbrings, Blunt Ven, Shikai, and Bankai. Ichigo is just the classic shonen protagonist, and his strength knows no bounds and constantly picks up new skills during every arc of Bleach. He was able to defeat elite captains like Kenpachi Zaraki and Byakuya Kuchiki despite having far less combat experience. Throughout the series, his biggest asset proved to be his unwavering resolve to win. Ichigo is a person who prioritizes protecting the defenseless. He will put himself in risk to aid others, whether they are members of his family, close friends, or even total strangers. Regardless of what might happen to him, he's a hero through and through. Ichigo is a substitute Soul Reaper, yet in a relatively short period of time, he has outperformed the majority of the characters in this list in skill and fighting. He is one of the strongest and most admired characters in Bleach because of his heart and perseverance, as well as his abundance of spiritual power. We also made an hour-long video doing a deep dive into all of Ichigo's powers and abilities. We will link that video in the description below, so definitely check that out if you'd like to look at Ichigo's powers and abilities in a lot more detail. Third slot goes to Sosuke Aizen, a former captain of the 5th Division who, after betraying the Soul Society, essentially acquired godlike status. Most characters in the story are unable to realize the extent of Aizen's spiritual power. Aizen was very much an immortal entity that could take down any and everything that he desired. I'm sure even a deity wouldn't have been out of his reach. He, of course, was one of the Gotai 13's top military thinkers, as well as one of its top swordsmen. Aizen's mind is almost as strong as his physical might, which is what makes him so terrifying. Aizen is a genius and his intelligence is unrivaled. However, he employs his intelligence for deceit. Aizen is incredibly cunning and has betrayed a great number of people who have trusted him. Now, the easiest way to comprehend his power is to examine the battles he has engaged and prevailed in. Aizen basically defeated the entire Gotai 13 as well as the Vizards in a fight with them. If that wasn't enough to persuade you, consider the time that Aizen defeated the formidable team of Isshin Kurosaki, Yoruichi Shihoin, and Kisuke Urahara, and won. If it wasn't for Ichigo giving up his spiritual abilities to use Mugetsu, Aizen would have undoubtedly gone on to conquer or wipe out the entire world. So it comes as no surprise that Aizen is so high up on this list. In second place, we have none other than Yhwach. The Soul King's son, Yhwach, is incomparable to anybody else in Bleach. He would have easily and effectively put a stop to the Bleach universe if it wasn't for one slip-up. It's no secret that Yhwach, who has been imprisoned for almost 1,000 years, is one of the strongest characters in the entire series. His perfect fusion of talent, power, and nullification skills, future sight, and intelligence make him a nightmarish foe. Yhwach possesses incredible strength. His ability to take advantage of other people's skills, draining them dry and killing them is possibly his most terrifying quality. This implies that there is no limit to how powerful he could have finally become. His skills include Sankt Bogen, the ability to summon a huge bow with enough power to propel him back to his palace if need be. And then there's Blut, a Quincy method that grants him superhuman abilities. Moreover, he has the power to summon monsters with one eye, resembling bats, that will attack any Shinigami in the area. The icing on the cake is that he is incredibly elusive and has the ability to instantly move long distances thanks to his ability to build portals. Now, the future can be altered by Yhwach's ability, the Almighty, who can also speed up time in ways that are advantageous to him. The guy is just absolutely next level on the power scale, and without a doubt the strongest foe Ichigo and co has ever come up against. But who is stronger than him? Well, that title and first place on this list goes to Yhwach's father, the Soul King. The Soul King is arguably the most powerful entity to have ever existed in the Bleach universe. Being the ruler of the Soul Society and a god, the Soul King was the center of existence. Now, humans and spirits once coexisted when there was only one real world. Suddenly, the soul-eating hollows appeared and began to kill humans' spirits. The Soul King arrived and began to slaughter all the hollows in order to defend the world. Unfortunately, eliminating hollows caused the Earth to become unstable. The first group of Shinigami, who would later become the ancestors of Bleach's 5 noble families, the Shioin clan, Kuchiki clan, Shiba clan, Tsunashiro clan, and Kasumoji clan, all stopped his hunting. The human world, Waco Mundo, and the Soul Society were all established using the Soul King's powers, which they managed to acquire. The Soul King now resides at the Soul Palace, and to defend the Soul King Palace and royal families, he could produce and alter Shinigami known as Royal Guards using his Oaken Bestowment abilities. He has the Almighty, which gives him the power to predict or change the future. And the three worlds or realms were made by the Almighty, being the world of the living, the Soul Society, and Waco Mundo. These three realms were bound together by the Soul King's strength. He possesses an abundance of spiritual force and Ryatsu, which is so strong that you couldn't even begin to imagine just how much power that is. Again, we also made a video going into more detail on the Soul King, looking at his backstory, his powers, how Ichigo could have been the next Soul King himself, and more, which again is linked in the video description below for you to check out. And that is it, our list of the strongest characters in all of the Bleach series. We certainly hope that you enjoyed this ranking. Did you agree with it? Would you have listed them differently? Would you have added characters to the list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more Bleach videos on the channel, make sure to let us know by smashing that like button. If you haven't, make this the video you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future anime uproar videos. While you wait for the next Bleach video to drop on the channel, why not check out this video where I rank all of the Bleach captains from weakest to strongest. Thanks again, and we can't wait to see you in the next one. Till next time, peace!